Hello students, myself Anona Bormod, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemistry, JIS College of Engineering. So we are discussing about the water pollution and control. So today we will discuss the lecture number 8 and that is our unit 4. Okay, so today our objective of the class is we will discuss about the wastewater treatment. Actually we are discussing in our previous classes also we have discussed about the wastewater treatment. Now wastewater treatment is very important, as day by day the water is getting polluted, understand, and also we are facing the water scarcity problem. So if we are not preventing the water from getting polluted, or if we are not preventing the over utilization of the water, so in our near future it will be very difficult for our sustainability. Okay, so that is why water pollution, we have to control this water pollution. So we have to first treat the water. What is the wastewater treatment? How can we treat the wastewater, and then that water can be consumable? All these steps are very important. Okay, so that's why today we are also discussing, we will also discuss the some of the steps, important steps of the wastewater treatment. So let's start the class. Okay, so this is our topic name or chapter name, that is the water pollution and control. Unit is 4 and lecture is 8, as I told you earlier. Okay, so this is the subject name of the subject, that is environmental studies, and the subject code is BCAN102, BCAN102. Okay, these are the some of the course objective that we have. After this course, you will be able to understand the natural environment and its relationship with the human activities. You can also apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess the environmental and health risks. Also, you can understand the environmental laws and regulation to develop the guideline and procedures for health and safety issues. And also you can solve some of the scientific problems which is related to air, water, sound pollution. Okay, so all these pollutions that you can solve. These are the some of the course outcome for our subject, that is environmental studies. So after this course you can understand the natural environment and its relationship with the human activities. Also you can apply the fundamental knowledge of science and engineering to assess the environmental and health risks. Also you can develop the guidelines and procedure for health and safety issues, which is obeying the environmental laws and regulations. Okay, and you can, after all, you can acquire some of the skills for scientific problem solving related to air, water, land, noise, or sound pollution. Okay. Okay, now this is some of the objective of today's class. Today we will see some of the steps of wastewater treatment, as I told you earlier. Okay, so we will see what are the steps of wastewater treatment, how we can do this, how we can refine this wastewater. Okay, generally we will see the primary step, the secondary step, and the tertiary step. Okay, so generally our conventional wastewater treatment process, this is follows preliminary treatment, primary treatment, secondary treatment, and tertiary or the advanced treatment, the last step of the wastewater treatment. Okay, now what will happen, look, conventional wastewater treatment, generally what will happen in the primary step, in the preliminary step, But in the first step, we can remove the dust particles, the large particles, okay, oil particles. These are all the things that we can remove. The next, in secondary treatment, we can remove the biodegradable materials. Whatever biodegradable materials we have in our water, that can be removed through the BOD reaction, and that is called by the secondary treatment, okay. And the tertiary treatment, that is the last step of the BOD reaction. And for this, what will happen, tertiary, generally for tertiary treatment we use the activated charcoal, which can absorb so many things, okay. So the all the remaining particles can be absorbed by the activated charcoal, and it can be then it can refine the water. So this is the last step, that is the tertiary treatment. Now one by one we will see what are the instruments, but what are the steps that we will follow for this step. Now, the conventional wastewater treatment consists of a combination of physical, chemical and biological processes and operations to remove solids, organic matter and sometimes nutrient from the wastewater. The general terms used to describe different degrees of treatment in order of increasing treatment level and their preliminary, primary, secondary and tertiary or advanced wastewater treatment. In some countries, disinfection to remove the pathogens sometimes follow the last treatment step. Okay, so some of the in some of the countries, what will happen, they are using the disinfection process at the last step. Generally, for the disinfection process, we use the chlorine or we use the ozone. Okay, so chlorine, what will happen? Chlorine, with the help of the water molecules, it will form first hypochlorous acid, HCl, and after that it will form the HCl and nascent oxygen. Okay, that nascent oxygen is very much active and it can kill the germs. Okay, so this production of this nascent oxygen is very important. Now if we use the ozone, that is the expensive one, but if we use the ozone, what will happen? Ozone again dissociate into oxygen and nascent oxygen, okay, oxygen molecule and the nascent oxygen. So these nascent oxygen then further help helps to kill the germs, kill the microorganisms, okay. So this is called the disinfection process. And the disease, generally the disease causing microorganisms are called by the pathogens, okay. Disease causing microorganisms, that is called by the pathogens. Yeah, so this is the steps of the preliminary treatment. The objective of preliminary treatment is the removal of coarse solids and other large materials. Generally, whatever coarse solid like sand particle, dust particles, large particles that we have in our water, so that coarse particles generally we will remove from the through the preliminary treatment. The preliminary treatment operations typically include coarse screening, grit removal, and in some cases combination of large objects. Okay, so these are the steps of the preliminary. First of all, screening we have. Second, we have the grit removal, and in some cases combination of large objects we have. So in grit chamber, generally what will happen in grit chamber, the velocity of the water, what will happen, the velocity of the water maintained, okay, through the chamber is maintained sufficiently high, or air is used so as to prevent the settling of most organic solid. Whatever organic solid we have in our water, that will be settled down, okay. So this is called grit chamber. And Next, we have commutators are sometimes adopted to supplement core screening, and this is a screening process, okay, and serve to reduce the size of the large particles so that they will be removed in the next step, okay. Yeah, so this is the structure of the grid chamber, you can see. Okay, so in this chamber generally the flow of the water will be maintained so that all organic material can be settled down. Okay, so this is the grid chamber and this is the commutator. In this device all the waste materials, waste flow passes through the grinder. Okay, so this is the grinder assembly. The grinder consists of a screen or slotted basket here. Okay, so the rotating or oscillating cutter and a stationary cutter. Solids pass through the screen and are chopped or shredded between the two cutters, and the large particles will shredded into the small particles. Understand? Yeah. Okay, next we have the primary treatment. Primary treatment already I have discussed. Uh, but again I am repeating that the steps of the primary treatment. Generally, primary treatment again using for the removal of the large particles, the dust particles, and also in this case we can remove the microorganisms. Okay, the first step of the primary treatment is the screening process. First of all, the water will be screened, and then after that the water will be coagulated. We will follow the coagulation procedure by adding some electrolytes, and after this coagulation all the precipitation will all the waste material will be precipitated, and after that we have to settle down that the chamber, and to complete the precipitation then we have to filter the water. And after that we will have the disinfection procedure. Okay, so the objective of primary treatment is the removal of settleable organic and inorganic solids by sedimentation and the removal of materials that will float by the skimming. Approximately 25 to 50% of the incoming biochemical oxygen demand and 50 to 70% of the total suspended solids and 65% of the oil and grease removed during the primary treatment. Some organic nitrogen, organic phosphorus, and heavy metals associated with solids are also removed during the primary sedimentation process. In many industrialized countries, the primary treatment is the minimum level of the pre-application treatment required for wastewater irrigation. It may be considered sufficient treatment if the wastewater is used to irrigate the crops that are not consumed by the humans, or orchids, veneers, or some processed foods. Okay, so this is all about the primary treatment. Now, primary sedimentation tank is a large tank where the water is kept for a while for the complete precipitation. Okay, so settle the solids and normally removed from the bottom of the tanks by the sludge rakes, and that scrap the sludge to the central well from which it is pumped to sludge processing unit. And one more thing, sludge, whatever sludge we are getting, that sludge can be processed and can be used further as a fertilizers. Okay, so that is very useful at all. So scum is swept across the tank surface by the water jets to or mechanical means from which it is also pumped. Yeah. So you can see this is the anaerobic digester where we are having the here the biogas we are having. This is called the feed zone, and this is the effluent substrate. Okay, and this is effluent gas. This is a ground injection pipe and ground sludge pipe. Here, whatever precipitation we are having, that precipitation is out by this. This is the outlet of the sludge. Okay, and this is the substrate. From here, the substrate will flow into the machine, into the chamber. Okay. Yeah, next we have the secondary treatment. So already I have told you for the secondary treatment, generally we remove the biodegradable organic waste. The BOD reaction will be taking place. Okay, so the in some cases from the outside we have to add some of the microorganisms so that the reaction will be completed. The decomposition reaction will be completed. The objective of secondary treatment is a further treatment of the effluent from primary treatment to remove the residual organic and suspended solids. Aerobic biological treatment is performed in the presence of oxygen by aerobic microorganisms, and obviously here we have to use the microorganism because in the BOD reaction all of you know that microorganisms are acting as a catalyst. Yeah. Okay, several aerobic the biological processes are used for the secondary treatment, differing the preliminary in the manner in which oxygen is supplied to the microorganisms. Okay, now high rate biological processes are characterized by the relatively small reactor volume and high concentration of microorganisms compared with low rate processes. Consequently, the growth rate of a new organism is much greater in high rate systems because of the well controlled environment. The microorganisms must be separated from the treated wastewater by sedimentation to produce the clarified secondary effluent. The sedimentation tank used in secondary treatment and referred to as the secondary clarifiers. Okay, and operate in the same manner as the preliminary clarifiers described as the described. Okay. Yeah, so actually we have three type of process. One is RBC, that is rotating biological contractor. Second one is the sludge process, and the third one is the trickling filter. Okay, so these are the three process, but three instruments that we can use for the secondary treatment. Now activated sludge process. Now why activated? We are using this term, that is activated. Why? Because activated means this sludge can be used as the fertilizers. Okay, so after getting this sludge, then sludge means the precipitation of the unwanted undesired product. Okay, so that then we have to process that precipitation, and then we can use that precipitation or sludge as the fertilizer. So that is why it's called activated sludge process. Okay, now in the activated sludge process, the dispersed growth reactor is an aeration tank or basin containing a suspension of the wastewater and the microorganisms, the mixed liquid. The contents of the aeration tank are mixed vigorously by aeration devices which also supply the oxygen to the biological suspension. Aeration devices commonly used include submerged diffusers that release compressed air and mechanical surface aerators that introduce air by the agitating the liquid surface. Okay, then hydraulic the retention time in the aeration tank usually ranges from the 3 to 8 hours. Okay. Now, following the addition step, the microorganisms addition step means the with the in presence of air, the reaction is taking place. The microorganisms are separated from the liquid by sedimentation, and the clarified liquid is secondary effluent. A portion of the biological sludge is recycled to the addition basin to maintain a high mix like a suspended solids. Okay, the remainder is removed from the process and sent to the sludge processing to maintain a relatively constant concentration of microorganisms in the system. Generally, what will happen, a large tank, a large pond will be there, and there from outside we are adding some of the microorganisms so that the reaction will be completed and the system will be open. So while there will be the deficiency of dissolved oxygen, that means that the aerial oxygen from the air, the oxygen will come to the water and to complete the reaction. So this is total overall. So after the reaction, whatever undesired product will form, that will precipitated at the bottom, and after that, that precipitation we will take out, and after the process we can use as a fertilizer. That is why it's called by the activated sludge process. So these are the some of the steps of the activated sludge process. So this is a flow diagram. Now we have trickling filter. Trickling filter, generally what will happen, trickling filter, okay, this is the chamber of the trickling filter. What will happen, you can see at the upside of the trickling filter we are having some of the metal rods, okay, like this. So these metal rods having the porous side. So through that porous side we can inject the wastewater into this machine. Now in this chamber, at the bottom of this chamber, what will happen, some of the bottom of the chamber is made of brick or made of ceramic. What will happen now, they are covered with the gelatin, which is which is full of microorganisms. So these gelatin this gelatin cover is providing, actually we have for the providing, they are providing the microorganisms which is acting as a catalyst in the reaction. So through these metal bars, the wastewater come into the chamber, and here it will attach with the microorganism, and already we have the dissolved oxygen, so the reaction will take place, and after all the from the outlet whatever we are getting, that is the free from the biodegradable material. So this is the overall working principle of the trickling filter. Okay, next we have RBC, rotating biological contractor. Okay, so this is also we are using for the removal of the biodegradable material. Now you can see here, this is the chamber. Okay, actually what will happen, the in rotating biological contractor, the water is taking in like a chamber, okay, like a tank, and in this tank we are having so many vertically circular discs, like this vertical circular discs are there, and they are covered with the gelatin, which is for providing the microorganism, and they are half immersed into the wastewater. So in this tank, if we have the wastewater and the microorganisms, so what will happen, the reaction will take place and the biodegradable components will be decomposed into the carbon dioxide and H2O, and all the undesired product will be precipitated. Okay, now what will happen, after some time this will rotating, that is why it's called rotating biological contractor. This disc will rotate. Okay, so the upper portion will come to the water, and the lower portion will go to the upper side. What will for that what will happen, that means continuously there will be the supply of the microorganisms, and thus the reaction will be continued to decomposition to decompose of the decomposition of the biodegradable material. So this is all about the rotating biological contractor. Okay, next the last step is, that is the tertiary or advanced treatment. Generally, what will happen, the tertiary treatment, in this treatment we are removing the what we are removing the remaining particles, remaining large particles, remaining the cations, anions, whatever it is. So the heavy metals. Okay, so all this will be removed in this step. So, tertiary or advanced wastewater treatment is employed when specific wastewater constituents which cannot be removed by the secondary treatment. Okay, because advanced treatment usually follow high rate secondary treatment, it is sometimes referred to as tertiary treatment. However, the advanced treatment process are sometimes combined with primary or secondary treatment, chemical addition to primary clarifiers, or addition basins to remove phosphorus, or used in place of secondary treatment. Okay, and adaptation of the activated sludge process is often used to remove the nitrogen or phosphorus. Effluent from primary clarifiers close to the biological reactor, which is physically divided into 5 zones by baffles and weirs. In sequence of these zones are anaerobic fermentation zone, characterized by very low dissolved oxygen level and the absence of the nitrates. Anoxic zone, low dissolved oxygen level but the nitrates present, and aerobic zone, and secondary anoxic zone, and finally final aerobic zone. Okay, addition zone. The function of the first zone is to condition the group of bacteria responsible for the phosphorus removal by stressing them under low oxidation and reduction condition, which results in a result of release of phosphorus equilibrium in the cells of the bacteria. On subsequent exposure to an adequate supply of oxygen, the phosphorus in the aerated zone, these cells rapidly accumulate and phosphorus considerably in excess of their normal metabolic requirement. Okay, so this is that most of the nitrogen in the effluent is in the ammonia form, and this passes through the first two zones virtually unaltered. In the third aerobic zone, the sludge age is such that almost complete nitrification takes place and the ammonia nitrogen is converted to nitrous and then to nitrates. Okay, so this is the step of the flow diagram, the flow chart of the last treatment. Okay, so this is the unit operation in adverse treatment. These are the some of the operations that we are applying. So this much you have in your syllabus. Okay, so this is all about the tertiary or advanced treatment. So this is the final step, and there we are finally removing the remaining particles from the water. Okay, now I have given one question, that is rotating biological contractor is used for. This is the only for how much for my understanding, yeah, how much you have got from my portion. Okay, so for this question you will have the 10-second type. You times just now. You have to memorize whatever I have discussed today or previously I have also discussed. So you have to just memorize and then you can get the answer. Yeah, your 10-second time is over. and you are absolutely right. The answer is the biodegradable materials, whatever the organic biodegradable materials we have into the water, for that removal we have to use the rotating biological contractor, and that is the secondary treatment. That is the secondary step or secondary treatment of the wastewater. So these are the some of the recapitulation, that is we have discussed about the wastewater treatment. Also we have seen these are the some of the steps, that is primary, secondary treatment, and also we have seen the tertiary or advanced treatment. Okay. So these are all the chapters we have, topics we have covered now. So thank you students, and please follow the classes regularly, do the assignment and submit it in the sorry and submit it in the time. Okay. Yeah. So if you follow the classes regularly, then you can understand whatever question, whatever assignments are given, that you can understand well and you can answer the question. Okay. So thank you students, and see you in the next class.